Well, hey, friends. I got myself in trouble this week. You want to talk about it? Well, first of all, we need to address the fact that my hair is looking a little different, if you guys noticed it. I don't know if you can see the back of this. First of all, the back of my head, ridiculous. My friend Deva, who owns Helios Salon and Wellness up in Fredericktown, Ohio, did my hair, and it looks so good. And I was like, I have to record a podcast. I cannot let this go to waste. But I need to unpack some things with you. I got in trouble this week. I guess it's still within the week. And it's so comical to me, but it's fine. The internet is so weird. We all know this. And I feel like if I did some kind of master's degree or continued education, I'd study anthropology. I think I've said that before because I love like just the weird patterns of human behavior when it comes to being performative online. And I think about this with like actors in newer shows now, like Outer Banks and some of these teen driven dramas, like even the new Avatar reboot. I feel like the actors aren't giving it their all or committing to the character because they're nervous about what people will say online. They're all like towing this line of being an actor and being an influencer or having a presence on the online space. And so I feel like that hinders their performance a lot because I can tell the ones who are serious about it and who is like, I am a trained actor and I want to do this versus the ones who are like, well, I don't want to look dumb so that I can still do like the modeling thing and I want to run my Instagram so I can like see my fans and I don't want to like, disappoint anyone or give it my all because I think people are going to make fun of me. Anyway, that's my theory. But I think that that can affect a lot of the work we make, the art we make, and the content or the non-social media based content that we put out. All that to say, Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department album dropped about a week from today. I know I'm recording this and posting this not on the same time, just go with it. But a week ago, she released it at midnight. And the whole story about that, I was kind of like, I want to stay up. I really wish I got invited to like one of the parties, like someone's party. I didn't really know like where the Swifties are at. Most of my closer friends aren't really like that obsessed with it. And I'm not either, but I just like being, I like the hype, but I'm kind of like a borderline Swiftie. So I like being involved with that stuff. But I was like, I don't think I'm going to stay up. But then my husband and I accidentally kind of woke up at around 3 a.m. after the drop. We couldn't really fall back asleep. So we were like, hey, we should like listen to a couple songs and see if it's any good. We started listening to a few songs. Then we went downstairs to like eat some cheesecake in the middle of the night, which was totally the right decision. And we start talking about it. And we're like, none of these are like exactly what we thought they would be. But Ian's much more of a like Debbie Downer when it comes to Swift. And I'm more of an optimist of like, yeah, I think she's good overall. I'm a Swiftie to a degree, but I think she could use some editing and some of her writing is like super cheesy. But no one works harder than that woman to give the fans what they want and to consistently for years like create a long list of bops and like breakup songs. So we love her. But anyway, I noticed on the album after listening to it again, that I think some of the songs, like she knows what she's doing. Some of them feel written for movies or written for TikTok or written for social media use. And so I think I was going on my long tangent to say that I know what she's doing from a marketing perspective of like, this is not her strongest album altogether, but yet there's still bops that she wrote or lines that she wrote, I think with usage in mind and going, I'm going to release this because this would make a great 10-second bit for TikTok. This would make an awesome, edit for someone's vacation recap to Florida. Bah, 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 bah. You know what I mean? Like, or even, I hate it here. I just did a reel the other day to the, I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday every day, like about being an entrepreneur and just like working hard and being a photographer in the busy season of weddings. Yeah, so anyway, it's just an interesting thing. But when we started listening to it, Ian and I were like kind of going through a couple songs. We're like, Black Dog, Prophecy, Alchemy, So High School, I Hate It Here, Cassandra. We were like, all of these kind of feel like Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter franchise. And so we were like chatting about this at 3 a.m. delusionally eating our cheesecake. And I was like, well, I have to like listen to the whole album tomorrow, but I think you're onto something, babe. Like, I think this is right. So obviously art's subjective. There can be many meanings, but in our minds, we were like, this might be based on Harry Potter. What if we just post something kind of silly, but kind of, real about it and see if other people agree? So the next day I posted a little like, hey, what if the Tortured Poets Department was written about Harry Potter characters? And it kind of blew up. And I wasn't prepared for that. I was just kind of being half facetious, but also like, Swifties love to start a conversation. We love a good theory. And so I just thought it'd be fun to like insert that into the conversation. And on TikTok, it has currently like 1.4 million views. And on Instagram, it's like around 450,000. So I was like, bruh. But guys, I started this by saying I got in trouble because all these Swifties came for me and was like, that's not what this is about. This is about Joe Alwyn and this is about Maddie Healy and Kim Kardashian. I was like, I'm sure it is. I was just having fun. Let me be delusional and be a millennial in my fandom of choice. Thank you. So anyway, if you've been following on social media or found this video from social media, hey, welcome to the India and Stuff world. But that's kind of the context was like, I'm just being silly. Like, let me have fun. But actually, like, we're making videos about this theory now. And it's like making sense to me. Like, I just posted today, love of my life / loss of my life. Think about Snape and Lily's characters when you listen to that song. It changes everything and it brings emotion to my soul. So anyway, that was a long intro. Hey, let's jump into the theme song. So today's an easy listen. I'm actually editing wedding photos while I'm on this recording because I was like, really having to get this album done, but also wanted to use this daylight and hop on and do a podcast. So I'm going to be editing while we chat here. But today I just wanted to talk about girl hobbies. So where are my girlies at, first of all? I drop your name, Instagram handle, say hey in the comments because I need the girlies who have hobbies. My husband's kind of been on, uh not in a bad way, but on like the encouragement train for the last couple years, being like, you need to find some hobbies, honey. Like, you need some hobbies. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, blah, I'm doing all these things. And it's true, but it's also like work cannot be my only hobby. And I just didn't know if anyone else felt this way where you maybe grew up creative or with a very niched interest, and then you ended up kind of always going to that niche or creativity or that outlet your whole life as your thing to like be your hobby. And then you loved it so much that you either went to school for it, did an apprenticeship, or jumped into that as your job. And now as an adult, your hobby has turned into the way you make a living and make money. And so instead of it being fun and restful and that like escapism thing that we all, knew and love as kids, it's now become, your job. And when things become your job, doesn't mean it's necessarily not enjoyable, but it does mean that it's no longer the escape thing or the thing you do for fun. And so that happened with me. I grew up as the artsy kid, the creative one. I was homeschooled for a while. So art was like literally my outlet. I'm going to do something on my computer with both my hands real fast. But art was my outlet. And so I, got in trouble for coloring with Sharpies on my basement wall growing up. If you guys remember the Barbie Rapunzel movie, my first DVD, if that ages me at all, I wanted to create the world, the portal that she made, and she like painted on her wall and then could walk into it. So I thought I would do the same thing, and I got in huge trouble with my parents. Anyway, I loved being creative with like fine art materials as a kid. I loved just all of that world, and I think I just duplicated that. Dang it. That's okay. So that was like my outlet growing up was the arts. I would draw girls all the time, like fashion, outfits, all that stuff. And then in high school, when I started going and not being homeschooled anymore, I was that stereotypical kid who was like doodling on my math homework, doodling on my notebook. I was always like, "Can I draw you?" like to all my classmates. And in high school, excuse me, I just burped. In later high school, I did like a like extended study with the art teacher because I was like, I just can't get enough of art. Like that's what I wanted to do. So, anyway, when it came time to choose what I was doing after high school, continued education, I was like, it's pretty much a no-brainer. I did toy with the idea of going into like anatomy for a second. So glad I didn't. Um, but I was like, it's pretty clear I need to do art. Oh, hi, Appa. Little buddy's here. So I picked a school, went for design. Do you see him right now? Oh, look at that boy. Um, and went for graphic design because I felt like that was a more marketable thing than just fine arts. At one point, I wanted to do animation because I just love Disney, but I'm really glad I didn't do animation because I didn't realize at the time it was like a lot of math. Like animation's a lot of like, you know, modeling and ZBrush, and it's just not as creative and fun as I thought it was going to be. So I went to design. Then I got a degree in design, and all the while I was doing photography on the side of my college degree. So when I graduated and got a job in graphic design, it was like pretty much my creative outlet had now been turned into my creative source of income, and then photography, which was my creative outlet from my creative outlet, if that makes sense. Photography was my hobby. Then I turned it into a business. And so there's this pressure, I think, in the creative heart of monetizing every single hobby that you have. Like, oh, you can embroider? Why don't you just start an Etsy shop? Like, oh, you know how to like paint watercolors? Why don't you sell those? Like, oh, photography, now that's a thing. Oh, like design, why don't you offer that service? And that's not a bad thing. And I think that's the way I'm actually wired. Like, my brain is like, how do we make money? And I think if I dive into that too deeply, that's like survival skills from being a kid, whatever, growing up a little poor. And so I think that's something I got to work through with my therapist. But I think the flip side of that is we can accidentally turn all of our hobbies into money making things. And in the words of my sister, gas keep? No, gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss. And I think that's so true. Like we can accidentally turn all the things that are fun and supposed to be full of joy and happiness and turn it into this like business, or every time you take a picture get criticized of being like an influencer or trying too hard. And it's like, no, like I just liked my outfit or I liked ice cream or whatever. So all that to say, I wanted to chat today about girl hobbies. Like, where are they? Who's got a good one? And I also kind of hate every time I mention hobbies. I've like put things on Instagram before and I'm like, hey, what kind of hobbies do you guys have? What should I try? It always gets back to like crafting and like grandma things, which is fine. I have a pile of knitting needles over there. I tried embroidery around Christmas time. I made candles, but it's always like the slow sit down, do this at home hobby instead of, with guys asking for hobbies. Like my husband loves disc golf, he loves normal golf, he likes fishing. That means like getting out on the water. He loves to hike and ski. And so those are his hobbies. But then when I say like, hey, what hobbies do the girlies like? It's fine if that's what they like, but I guess I'm like, like, can we find hobbies for girls or encourage that in the women of get outside, find a group, like do something that's not just always being at home with like your crochet needles. I don't know. I love hiking too, and I think that's a problem for being in Ohio is like I love to hike, but there's literally very limited options in our 1 hour vicinity of our home. So it's not like I can just drop everything and go for a hike once a day. But if I lived in California or Utah or Arizona, that'd be a different story. But grass is always greener or drier, I guess, if we're talking about the West. But anyway, so I would love to know if you guys have girly hobbies, not girly hobbies, hobbies for the girlies. Let me know what they are. I want to expand my horizons. Again, I do think out of all the ones I've tried recently, I wrote them down so I can be sure. I tried okay, as a kid, I did art, I did jewelry making, gymnastics was, like, my sport of choice and kind of my hobby. I tried playing with spray paint as a kid. I used to doodle on canvas shoes and then sold them. I would paint with watercolors and acrylics. I would do nail art. I never really got into makeup because we didn't have, like, the money for makeup, but if I would have loved to do that. I used to do hair, like my friends' hair for prom and dances. Yeah, that was kind of as like a child. And then in high school it was definitely like illustration, photography, theater, drama club, huge like thespian nerd. And reading was a big hobby. And then in college it was more traveling, like getting out, going places. And I got into movies a little bit more in college. And then as an adult, I like to hike and serial entrepreneur, boss, girly, whatever, start a bunch of businesses. So I've tried a rental company. I tried a clothing line for just a second. I obviously do a photography business, branching into photography education and mentorship. If anyone needs a photography coach, I'm here for you. IndiaJadePhoto.com, baby. And recently I've tried knitting, crocheting, painting again, candle making, which I did like. I'm in my sourdough era right now, so bread making and cooking are kind of up there. Reading, I'm still reading. I actually just got the new Emily Henry book. Funny story, very excited about that. Um, yeah. And so those are kind of all, and then like home styling. I don't know if that's a hobby. And then the biggest one that I spend most of my time doing is thrifting. And yeah, so it's just kind of an interesting thing to be in this place of like, I want to be more, I don't know, do you guys ever feel like you just want life to be more than it is? Like, I don't know. I want there to be more. I want to try gardening, but then I'm like, I don't have enough hours in the day. And I like the idea of sitting and knitting to a show at the end of the night, but like when it's a really nice day, I want to be outside. And I think something that I'm frustrated with is like my husband has, I'm not frustrated with my husband, he's great, but I'm frustrated at the structure of like he has friends that he can call and say, let's go disc golfing or like, let's go skiing or let's go, fishing this weekend. And I don't think most of my solid friends like just our schedules don't align or the hobby interest is misaligned, which is completely fine. But I think I just want more of those women to be like, yeah, like we are all going to get together and hike once a month together, or we are all going to get together and play volleyball at this rec center, or do a sip and paint on, these 2 days a month. I think I just want more communal activities for the women because I think there's a lot of girls that want those things too, but we just don't know how to connect with each other. Or we want those things, we want to connect, but then our schedules are completely misaligned. So then, like, if I'm free, that other person would be like, well, I can't do it. So then I would stay home as well. But if there was a bigger network of the women, the girls who want to go do certain hobbies, I think more would happen and there'd be more communal aspect of like, some of us are going at this date and this time, join if you can. That kind of thing. I need more of that. So I did join a book club recently, which has been fun, and I think that's starting it. But I want to connect with more people. So if you're local to Columbus, Ohio, and you're like, I want to do a hobby and I just want people to be with, let's freaking do it. The low cost, non-marketing, we're not turning this into a business. We just want to have fun. Girlies just want to have fun, guys. Reach out to me. So yeah, that's kind of all I had today, and my camera's about to die, but hopefully this was helpful. I kind of sound like a pessimist. I'm like, why is everything terrible? Give me more women friends. But anyway, I'm kind of unhinged today, guys. I had a cappuccino, so I went to visit my friend who is a new mama and a business owner. Amazing. If you need any branding services or Shopify website built, check out Wild Hive Studios. Whitney is your girl. But I went to visit her this morning and her sweet little baby, and I brought her a cappuccino, which is her drink of choice. But I went to Starbucks in a Kroger, and it was so bad. Not the Starbucks in the Kroger. I used to work at one, but the cappuccino, it literally tasted like they mixed drip coffee with a like dollop of steamed milk. I was like, this is not how a cappuccino is supposed to be done. But I guess the caffeine still worked because I'm crazy today. Anyway, also, I have conveniently cropped out the messiness of my office. Check out these Trader Joe's mac and cheese bites that I didn't finish from lunch. What else do we got? We can do a little show and tell here. I have this giant bowl that I had my salad in yesterday. This is a bill from OSU Medical Center that I took notes on from a finance call the other day. This is interesting. It looks like lipstick. Let me open it for you. It looks like lipstick, but this is a peppermint stick that helps you cry for auditions. So if you're an actor, that's fun. These are cool little highlighters that are actually just like gel crayons, which is fun for like Bible reading. My Polaroid that somehow stopped working recently. Our Christmas cards we still haven't sent. It is now the end of April. My wallet. A thank you note from a couple with a very generous cash tip. Thanks, guys. My deodorant, if you needed to know, I use Old Spice for Men. That was actually something funny when Ian and I started dating that we were like chatting about. I don't know how we started talking about that on our first date, but we realized that we both used Old Spice for Men, and we're like, well, yay, we can share deodorant. This Pusheen, look at him go. Oh, yeah. Good job, autofocus. Anyway, now I'm just being stupid. But I have a huge wedding tomorrow in Cincinnati, so I'm going to go get prepped for that. Dinner tonight is frozen pizza. We love it. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno's. And I will be looking for some more girly hobbies, and I'm going to finish editing the tab. So that's enough for me. I hope you guys have a great, fantastic day. Bye!